minutes. Conditions apply. The time by Sagicor Bank is
7 o'clock, and it's time for the morning watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I am your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 7128328001, and if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the main watch, building homes while creating disasters, the irony of development, and in the second watch, are the walls closing in around Christians exercising their faith in public? For our social media question, we ask, which is more important to you? A healthy and safe environment or a nice house? Share your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share our comments later on in the program, but first, as I quote.
I quote this morning is an island quote. If you can't catch Quaco, you catch him short. It is not always possible to get everything you want. Be satisfied with what little you have until you are able to get all you want.
That is the interpretation of that I quote, Deidre.
That is the interpretation I'm seeing here.
Well, I am happy that that is the interpretation, if it is so, because I don't think that's how most Jamaicans interpret that I quote.
I don't think so either, because it's usually...
No, don't go there. Don't go there.
Alrighty.
Keep
How are
it
you
nice
this
and
morning,
positive.
Mr. Marshall?
Morning watch. The
How are
main
you?
one. I'm fine, Deidre. I hope you're well.
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Let's keep that interpretation nice and simple.
Nice and sweet.
The main watch will be back after this break.
You know what's sweet? The new pack Sweet Living promotion. Win great prizes.
Bedroom set, living room set, kitchen appliance set, plus TVs and monthly cash prizes.
Send in 5 new pack labels. Labels must belong to at least the new pack corned beef, new pack Vienna sausages, and sauces categories.
Below the tagline, new pack, more than just value.
Place your entry in one of the drop boxes at participating outlets or enter by mail. Time to live sweet. Enter the new pack Sweet Living promotion. August 28th to November 19th. See the press for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
For 50 years, Under the Law has been helping you to know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. And we continue to do this in 2022. The program is brought to you on Wednesdays by the Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy. Under the Law at 6:20 a.m., 2:35, 6:45, and at 9:10 p.m. on Love 101 FM.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
What's a spiritual passport and how do we attain it? Is there a cost or a line to join? How do we travel on this passport? Tuesday, October 4, on The Rock, join host Bishop Harold Steve Blair and guests Hurley Taylor and Christiana Milford as they discuss the topic Spiritual Passport. That's The Rock, Tuesday, October 4 at 10 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. As it rains a little bit, we seem to have floods everywhere. And we know this happens in other countries, but the situation in Jamaica can sometimes be quite chronic. Now, Category 4 Hurricane Ian in Florida the past week left a lot of devastation. And the tropical storm, Jamaica felt a little bit of it as the waters rushed into places that we wished they had not gone. And some of our usually flood-prone areas were not spared. Some persons say climate change has a lot to do with it. Others are saying human fault. Some say it's how we build. It's how we try to engage in development. Is it really any of them? We have online this morning Dr. Barbara Carvey. Dr. Barbara Carvey is the former Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, also former Head of Disaster Risk Reduction Center at the University of the West Indies. She's also a retired disaster risk reduction and management expert. We also have on the line Dr. Patricia Green. She's a registered architect and conservationist who herself is an independent scholar and advocate for the built and the natural environment. Dr. Carvey and Dr. Green, good morning to you both.
Yes, good morning to you and to your listeners.
Great. Dr. Green, are you with us? Are you muted, Dr. Green?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Stokeley. Lovely to be here. Hello, good morning, Barbara.
Hi, Pat. Morning.
Yes.
Wonderful having you both. Now, I'm going to ask an interesting question, and I'm going to toss it up, and any of you can decide to jump in and answer it first. What is this slippery slope we're on in relation to how we handle managed weather systems? Any one of you can jump in.
Well,
go ahead.
We're coming at it from different angles.
Dr. Carvey, yes, Dr. Carvey, tell us what's really happening.
Right. So, Pat, being an architect, looks at the interplay with the built environment and the natural environment, and then I could look at it from the point of view of risk management.
Let's start with you then, Dr. Carvey, because most people, when they see rains and floods, the word disaster comes to mind in many cases. Help us.
So the disaster is not the rain or the flood. By definition, those are hazards. Intense rainfall can be a hazard. Flooding can be a hazard. That's a physical phenomenon. The disaster comes when we have the hazard affecting, let us call them human systems for the time being, although you can also have what we call environmental disasters. So the disaster comes when the rainfall causes flooding, and that flooding affects the built environment, humankind. People have to be rescued, unfortunately some die, and so on. The thing is this, we know that the way mankind manages the hazard can reduce the impact of the hazard or even prevent a disaster. But it is up to us to do the correct things to reduce that impact and to prevent disasters. We call that mitigation, disaster mitigation, or we call it risk reduction. Now, some of those things we can do are, and this I think would be the most sensible one.
Yes.
We can stay out of the way of the flood. Right. So in Jamaica, we have actually mapped the extent to which rivers flood at different what we call return periods. So you would say on average, this river will flood once every 50 years or once every 100 years.
Yes.
What you should then do in terms of your planning is decide what structures we will put in these areas. So if a river is going to flood an area once every 10 years, it doesn't really make much sense to put a housing development there. Because on average, once every 10 years, people are going to get flooded out.
I see. Understood.
So you would leave that as a green space, for example.
Yes.
As you move out from the center of the river, then you decide what type of development you can put in those areas.
I see.
Now, that is not to say you cannot put structures in certain places which might flood. There are some things you can do now to reduce the risk of the flooding. One of the very obvious ones is to raise the floor level of the building.
Yes,
and this
yes.
used to be done in the old days in Jamaica.
Well, stick up in there, Dr. Carvey, because we are seeing where a lot of underground parking is becoming the norm. Any comments on that before we bring in Dr. Green?
Well, I think if you're going to put underground parking, you actually have to be sure that you're not going to get flooded in the urban setting, particularly from the street.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
Dr. Carvey, only because of time, and I know you're on the phone, so there's a slight delay in the communication, but I want to bring in Dr. Green before we head to the break. Dr. Green, any comments? Are we on a slippery slope? And the comment about all the underground parking being developed in some of the newer developments in the corporate area of Kingston and St. Andrew.
Good morning again. I think Dr. Carvey has set up very good baseline and groundwork for me to begin to speak, because one of the words that she's speaking about is planning. How do we plan our cities? How do we plan the built environment in the context of the natural environment? That's one of the first things we are taught as architects.
Yes.
And
how should we be building our structures then?
Well, she has started by saying that,
yes.
One, you recognize where the floodplains are.
Yes.
It's called a floodplain, and you avoid building, or you lift the building up, and you mentioned the underground parking. Now, this is a key question that a lot of citizens are asking. And if you want to know what to do, go and visit a certain shopping plaza in the Ligony area.
I know what you're talking about, Dr. Green.
And I was told the other day I was trying to do business, and they had sent the staff home because the place was flooded.
Dr. Green, hold that thought, because we are now upon a break. Don't lose that train of thought. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Get better coverage for yourself and your family as low as $800 a month. The time by Jan Life Vest from Jan Life Insurance is
$7.15 and a half.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bash quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Bashco that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, bed linen, everything for your kitchen, rugs, mugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Love 101 invites you to listen to Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef.
God's blessing of salvation is not only to forgive you all of your sins here and now, but to keep you safe for all of eternity.
Dr. Michael Youssef.
God's blessings for your salvation will keep you protected, and it's going to keep you protected even from your own foolish decisions. He will keep you protected even if you are prone to wander away from him, will keep you protected from your ingratitude to his grace and blessing. He will keep you protected from being preoccupied with his blessings and ignoring him. Even when you're focusing on the wrong things, his security for you is indisputable.
Want to learn more about this subject? Listen to Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef on this station.
That's Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef, Sunday to Thursday at 7:30 to 8 p.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch. We're speaking to Dr. Barbara Carvey, former Director General ODPEM, that is the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, and former head of Disaster Risk Reduction Center, University of West Indies, and also retired disaster risk reduction and management expert. We also have on the line Dr. Patricia Green, registered architect and conservationist, who is an independent scholar and advocate for the built and natural environment. And the topic in this first watch, the main watch, building homes while creating disasters, the irony of development. Dr. Green, before the break, you were mentioning a certain plaza in Ligonier, St. Andrew, and the issue of having to send staff home. Remind us what the issue is or the problem is, and then take us from there.
The issue is that they have an underground parking area and there are drains, but when the system is inundated, the drains stop working. And so the place is filled with water. It is not just a safety hazard because the water is extremely high, meaning it can cover a particular vehicle, but it's also a health hazard because the runoff takes days before the water is able to go. And the issue is that many of our systems, and we have drains, and we hear our government, central and local, saying that they have cleared the drains and they've cleared the gullies and various things like that. But these systems are over 60 odd years old. They have been here. We have inherited many of them from before our independence. And in the process, there has been a lack of improvement of these things to maintain, which would enhance maintenance and also allow them to accommodate additional development. So if you have a particular culvert on the street or a particular gully course which carries water, and you have not increased it, but you have increased the construction and the amount of development. So you're putting additional shopping plazas. When you have shopping plazas, you have paved surfaces for the car park. And so you have an intensity of water which is running off from those areas onto the streets and into the existing drains that were there for over 60 years. Then we are having problems. Now, if you think of the same Ligonier area, I have been reminding everybody that, and Dr. Barbara can reinforce this, that we are a hill country. So we have a mountain, and then we
Yes.
have the water leaving from the hillsides to the sea. Doesn't matter which direction or which parish. Everything is coming from a central mountain spine going to the sea. So when we block the passage of this water and
Yes.
we look at Marcus Garvey Drive, there was a time when Marcus Garvey Drive did not flood. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
you build a highway. And in the traditional way of building highways, I am still waiting to hear the engineers make a call on this. You lift the highway so that the water continues to flow through it. What is happening across Jamaica is that the highways that are being built, instead of being elevated to allow the continuous passage of water going across into the sea, the
Yes. Yes.
highway is built in such a way that there's a wall. The highway is higher than the communities below. There's a wall that blocks the water. And so you have every community along the highway that is flooding because the water is not going to the sea. And I have said, we're talking about climate change. That's a whole different discussion. But I would like us to recognize that we should not be blaming anything like climate change for human error. These are things, as Barbara has said, they are predictable. We know the rain is going to fall in October. We know the rain is going to fall in May. We know that we have mountains. We know the movement of water. Why are we building roads and blocking the passage of water to the sea? And very importantly, Barbara will tell you that internationally, traditional knowledge prevails. So you speak with the locals, the various persons who have lived there, and every single article or interview, we keep hearing the citizens in every community, bar none, saying, I did tell them. We tell them it can block up. We tell them the place where flood. You read article after article. Who is listening to the people?
Very interesting point, Dr. Green, because we tend to hear of traditional knowledge more in other sectors, such as maybe intellectual property. But that traditional knowledge is also relevant, very relevant in terms of what you just said. Dr. Carvey, how do you think we begin to fix this problem of doing development not in the best way? Because we have a flooding issue already. More development is coming. We see it on the pipeline. So how do we ensure that the next set of developments don't worsen the situation? Dr. Carvey?
Well, we need the technical and scientific agencies of government to do their job. Follow good practice. To this point about communities and so on flooding, we have what we call natural drainage systems across Kingston. I mean, the most obvious ones are the gullies, which are now paved.
Yes.
The natural water channels, which were then paved to prevent erosion and expansion and so on.
Yes, yes.
Every local area will have a drainage pattern. So study it. And when you're building, take that into account and use that to your advantage rather than to your disadvantage. The other thing I would like to mention, and it's going a little bit away from the direct point, but I think it's important.
Yes.
Because Pat spoke about a threat to health. Now, it's important to realize that more and more research is being done looking at the effect of green spaces on mental health.
That's a very important point, Dr. Carvey. Please develop that point.
Right. So the people who have done the research, and they do research by looking at the impact of green spaces on populations, and they find that there's a very positive association between green spaces and mental health. And people will actually use green spaces in times of stress and so on to relax. Now, if you look at our pattern of development in Kingston, we're actually taking out green spaces I went into an apartment complex the other day.
Yes.
Everything within the boundaries of that lot. We had the building footprint, we had the driveway, we had the parking lot. Everything was paved. No, there was not even space for a swing set for children.
Yes, yes.
Point one. Point two, if you're going to encourage children, I mean, we spent millions of dollars on Jamaica Moves. You can't have children playing on hard surfaces. Children run, they trip, they fall, they get injured. Where are the children going to play when all we have laid down is hard surfaces? And we tend not to look at these because they're not dramatic and immediate, like a flood. But we will see the impact of this kind of planning down the road.
Personally, I find that when I look at too much concrete in a residential or commercial development, it's very hard on the eyes. I mean, it's as if you're just seeing all this hardness all around you. It's awful. I don't know if I am exceptional, but I really enjoy seeing the green spaces. Dr. Green, any comments? Because more developments are coming. They're down the pipeline. They're being approved and they are being built. Your comments, Dr. Green, before we wrap today.
Well, I just want to say that when you have that extent of hard surface, it means that the water is not being percolating into the subsoil. And that's one of the key things about our traditional way of developing our city, that we have gardens and areas which have green and the water is able to percolate back into the soil.
Can you comment on this? Can you comment on this, Dr. Green? Because I see some people, they are building the parking areas now where they have the blocks. You see the openings in the blocks facing upward. And so there's some grass growing in between. So it's not totally hard surface. Does that help?
Yes, that is true. But when you have a volume of water that is insufficient, and many of those, that particular development that Dr. Carvey spoke about really is what we call illegal, because there is provision in the development process to allow for landscape area. And when we speak about landscape, we're talking about soft landscape, which allows green. Now, in addition to the open spaces...
Is it that the builders don't understand what they should be doing? What's happening there?
Whatever is happening there, it's illegal. It should have been condemned by the authorities. They should not have been given approval to proceed. And if they proceed, they should not be given approval for sale of the property, because it has defied the standard regulation principles of the land. And this is the issue that Barbara mentioned about regulators and technical persons who are adhering to what exists. We have some of the best in the Caribbean, and I would even say the world, because I like to boast, Usain Bolt to the world. We have some of the best regulations and guidelines. Now, I want to point out another thing with regard to entertainment and use of green space. We also have Jamaican beaches. The beaches are supposed to be open. Regulation says they should be open to all Jamaicans. What you're finding as well, when we talk about blocking the passage of water to the sea, that there are developments that are putting up high fences to exclude Jamaicans, to exclude the average man getting access to the beach. And when they do that, in addition, it is excluding the passage of water to the sea. So we're having all around us.
Very interesting point.
We're having all around us developments and the kind of play out of our authorities who ignore the standard things that have evolved for years, and the regulatory process to ensure that the beach has access, people and water. The water has access across highway developments. I read in the paper where there's a particular community and the wall, the retaining wall has fallen. They're saying the wall is over how many years? The they are repairing the walls, and the people are saying, but it's the wrong size steel they're using in it. So we are cutting corners, and
Yes.
we are whether the person's, if you have a retaining wall, an engineer is supposed to be there, it's a public health hazard. Children are unable to go to school. The taxis aren't able to take people in and out of the community because they're repairing on an existing wall, and they're not using the proper technical things. It's an easy fix. When I do my investigation, all these agencies, National Works Agency, NEPA, NRCA, all these various agencies, they fall under one ministry, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. It is an easy fix to bring everybody in line with our regulation and policy. That needs to happen in Jamaica.
Dr. Green and Dr. Carvey, only because of time, I wish we had another 5 or so minutes, but we don't. Thank you, Dr. Carvey. Thank you, Dr. Green.
Thank you so much, Stokeley.
Maybe we need to pick up on this
Thank you for having us.
at another time.
Thank you. Thank you,
Our
Dr.
pleasure.
Carvey. Lovely being here with you.
Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Talk to Jane Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The time by Jane Bank Mortgage is
7:31 and a half.
Dedication, inspiration, need something to ease congestion. Taking action, fill prescription, Fontana, the right decision. Baby, family, education, satisfy your situation. Beauty, makeup, home creation, Fontana, every occasion. Work or play or celebration, great attention, 5 locations. That's a service for the nation, Fontana. It's all good inside.
Shop at FontanaPharmacy.com for Jamaica's widest selection online.
In need of a loan? AIM Financial is the place to go. We have loans from $20,000 to $3.3 million. Get a loan to pay school or college tuition, medical expenses, bills, fix up your house, buy furniture and appliances, repair or buy a car. And when you're done, take a vacation loan. AIM has a loan for any purpose. Call AIM today. You won't find a better deal elsewhere. Guaranteed.
Get ready for another Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 to 5 October 4, with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One. 2 o'clock will be time for Prayer Blast. More prayer, more power. 2:15 inside the evidence. We will share another powerhouse testimony that you can't afford to miss. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with a young man pastoring 7 churches, a Dane Mighty of the Hope Bay District of Seventh-day Adventist Churches. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. October 4 on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here, firstly, from the Daily Gleaner. Family offers $100,000 to find missing animator. Family of Troy Craddock is offering a $100,000 reward to anyone with information leading to his safe return home. Troy Craddock has been missing for 2 weeks. We turn now to the Jamaica Observer. Murder, student charged. PALS, that's capital P, capital A, capital L, capital S, appeals for funds to help stem school violence. This story by Jason Cross, Observer staff reporter. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is more important to you? a healthy and safe environment, or a nice house? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 from Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
What's a spiritual passport and how do we attain it? Is there a cost or a line to join? How do we travel on this passport? Tuesday, October 4, on The Rock, join host Bishop Harold Steve Blair and guests Hurley Taylor and Christiana Milford as they discuss the topic Spiritual Passport. That's The Rock, Tuesday, October 4 at 10 a.m. right here on the family station Love 101.
Get ready for another Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 to 5 October 4 with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One. 2 o'clock will be time for Prayer Blast. More prayer, more power. 2:15 inside the evidence. We will share another powerhouse testimony that you can't afford to miss. Then at 3 p.m. we go behind the pulpit with a young man pastoring 7 churches, a Dane Mighty of the Hope Bay District of Seventh-day Adventist Churches. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. October 4 on the family station Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Deidre, any comments to the feedback question so far?
Yes, we have a few comments. So this listener said to live in a safe environment. Jackie Douglas says definitely a healthy and safe environment. Too many buildings are going up without thinking about the environment and the destructions that will definitely follow after a while. A river always takes back its course. No amount of dumping or quick fix is going to prevent that. Some engineers don't listen to the older people who live in the area all their lives. Faith, yes. Faith from Washington Gardens says, I think they are both of great importance.
Okay.
Carol says, what good is a nice house in an unhealthy environment? Not worth it at all. Let's keep our environment healthy. That is more important.
And let's keep this particular conversation going. Very interesting. Thank you so much, Deidre.
You're welcome.
We move right into the second watch. Now, what is happening in the world today as it relates to Christians and being able to exercise their faith in the public space or public sphere? It seems as if sometimes limits are being imposed on the voice of the church or individual Christians. And at times there even appears to be a somewhat of a social pressure not to evangelize, whether at work, whether at school, on the streets. Some would even say even in church. This might not be so evident in Jamaica. It might be happening a little bit more elsewhere. But are we getting there? Because sometimes you do hear stories about not being able to say certain things in certain places. In Jamaica, that is. We have online this morning as our guest to discuss this very interesting and at the same time concerning topic, Shirley Richards. She is legal counsel. Shirley Richards is legal counsel for the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society. And we also have Donna Hussey Stewart. Donna Hussey Stewart is a member of the Association of Christian Communicators and Media, the Association of Christian Communicators and Media. And that association recently had its official launch just this Sunday, October the 2nd. Good day, Shirley Richards, and good day, Donna Hussey Stewart. How are you both?
Good morning. My name is Marshall, and thank you. Hope you're fine too. Morning, this is Hussey Stewart.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, I'm right here, and I'm so happy to be here.
Great. Never enough time in the morning. Getting right into it. How is the Christian voice being silenced in these modern times of 2022, and why? Well, it's been happening before, but Shirley Richards, starting with you. Any comments on the concerns?
This is a matter I have been watching over the years, Mr. Marshall, and been trying to warn the country about. Because we see it happening in countries which used to be Christian, especially as Christian views come up against Christian views on morality, come up against what is now the maybe, should I say, a popular view that a popular view on morality, or maybe a popular view on immorality. Everything is everything. So we've been seeing it in other countries in particular. We've been warning about it in Jamaica. And so, yes, if we're not careful in Jamaica, we will end up there. We have to be very, very careful. I remember one case in England, 2001, an autistic gentleman, Harry Hammond, just held up a sign. And I heard somebody say that was the beginning of it all in England. That was when that person said he became very aware of what was happening. A 69-year-old street preacher, beaten by a group of 30 to 40 persons. He had held up a sign saying Jesus gives peace. Jesus is alive. Stop immorality. Stop homosexuality. Stop lesbianism. Jesus is Lord. And he was beaten up by a group of persons. And do you know who was arrested? He was arrested. And the judge upheld that and ordered him to pay damages.
Well, the gentleman who was holding up the sign was arrested.
Absolutely, is an
even though he was the one, even though he was beaten up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
he died within a year of that incidentally. But anyway, I'm just saying, listen. And then of course we had there's a case in Ireland recently where teacher ended up in prison. Well, he breached a court order. The court order had ordered him not to return to his school because he refused to use the so-called transgender pronouns. And so this is what you have happening in England and in other countries.
I see. We're almost upon a break already. I want to bring in Miss Hussey Stewart. Yes?
Yes.
Donna Hussey Stewart.
Yes, that's correct.
Any comments in relation to the Christian voice being silenced and why? You are from an association, a group that is about Christians involved in communications. So, any comments?
Yes, definitely. So, first of all, I'm truly honored that I'm a part of the ACCM because now we get a chance to kind of share with others what's going on in Christendom. So first of all, maybe 2 years ago, I would have said that the voice of Christians are being silenced worldwide. That would have been my view 2 years ago. But then I went to Africa last year and I went back this year and I realized from going there that the voice, I went to Uganda and I went to Nigeria, I realized that Christians' voice, they are very much loud and well heard. But then I'm living in Canada now. I'm actually in Canada as we speak. And here, I totally agree with what was just said, with what Shirley just said, because here we are not allowed. You can't see people preaching on the streets, that's for sure. There is no religious education in schools. When you go to many churches, the doctrine is watered down, so you're not allowed to say certain things. You're not allowed to do certain things as Christians. So the question would be asked, when did this start and why is it happening? And I don't know how much time we have, but I'm quickly going to go into this. 75 years ago, there was this lady, I don't know if you know of her, her name is Alice Bailey. 75 years ago, she was first a Catholic and then she switched and became an occultic. She came up with a plan in her basement. It is said that she met with her master. Remember, she's an occult. And they came up with 10 points And those 10 points are what are very active in our nations today. The 10 points: take God and prayer out of the education system. That's 1. 2, reduce parental authority over the children. 3, destroy the Judo-Christian family structure or the traditional Christian family structure. 4, if sex is free, then make abortion legal and make it easy. 5, make divorce easy and legal. Free people from the concept of marriage for life. 6, make homosexuality an alternative lifestyle. 7, debase art, make it run mad. 8, use media to promote and change mindsets. 9, create an interfaith movement. 10, get government to make all these laws and get the church to endorse these changes. Now, are we seeing this happening?
Donna Hussey Stewart, you have gone through all 10. Hold the rest of your thought. We're going to head to a break and be right back at the Morning Watch. Listeners, stay with us.
More savings, more choices.
It's the sale you've been waiting for. The Active Home Center Everything Tiles and More sale is now on in Kingston only. Shop ceramic floor tiles starting at $417 plus GCT. Get incredible savings on new arrival tiles, plus discounts on selected furniture, lighting, and more from Wednesday, September 28th to Tuesday, October 4th. Visit us at 84 Constant Spring Road. Conditions apply. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
We have more savings, more choices.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and in this second watch, we're looking at the topic of, are the walls closing in around Christians exercising their faith in public? That is the question. And our guests are Shirley Richards, legal counsel for the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, and Donna Hussey Stewart. She's a member of the recently launched the Association of Christian Communicators and Media. Donna Hussey Stewart, just before the break, you outlined 10 points that were made, I think you indicated 75 years ago, of an Alice Bailey to destroy Christianity. And you outlined all 10 points, and you are going further to make another point. Please continue, Ms.
Yes.
Hussey Stewart.
Yes. So
have I summarized it correctly? Is it about trying to destroy Christianity? I mean,
destroy Christianity and destroy the nation. So if you're going to destroy the nations, you're going to destroy the family, the children, and everything that leads up to making a nation. So it actually impacts the entire nations.
You went through all 10 points here. We're going on to say something else. Please continue, Donna Hussey Stewart.
Yes, so I was saying that if we look in our individual countries where we are, we can identify which of these 10 points are actually in effect. Because I'm in Canada and I can tell you that all 10 are active. All 10 points are active.
Our divorce laws in Jamaica, we have no fault to divorce, so you don't need to, you all you need to do is say irretrievable breakdown. That's the ground.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes.
It makes divorce easier. Continue.
And it makes, once everything is legalized, it makes everything easier. Because take God and prayer out of the education system, for example. I grew up with religious education in school. I'm not sure exactly what is happening in Jamaica now in terms of religious education in schools.
Yes.
But I know here in Canada, there is no such thing as religious education. And they give all sort of reasons, because you have all different nationalities coming together, everybody has different religions, so you can't bring it in because it would be biased, all sort of reasons why. But the fact of the matter is, this was a plan from way back when, and by the New Age movement, to destroy our very children, because if they don't know God, what kind of society is it that we are building? So that is one of the things that I believe, even as an association, that we should be advocating for in Jamaica, to ensure that God is still taught and relevant in schools, that children learn and continue to learn about who their creator is.
I gather that there was a time, and I'm subject to being corrected. Any one of you can jump in here, but I gather there was a time when biblical knowledge or Bible knowledge was taught, and it was then replaced by religious education, because the word religious is considered to be broader. But I gather that now in some schools, whereas they would have the type of devotions where it would feel more like a sort of singing of hymns, and it's clear that you're worshiping God, that devotion time is now not necessarily like that anymore. It's more like a session where you're updated on certain things, and certain things may be said, but they are not necessarily Christian or as Christian in character as they once were. Any comments? Either you, Donna Hussey Stewart, or Shirley Richards?
Yes. Yes, I grew up with Bible knowledge in school. I just read this morning from the book of Ruth, and he had to learn, I think it may have been grade 6 level, grade 5, grade 6, we had to learn that portion of scripture where Ruth said to her mother-in-law, "Entreat me not to leave thee, not to return from following after thee." Maybe I won't finish it. But we had to learn certain passages of scriptures. And we had to learn to write it out and everything and come on full stop. Unfortunately, that was replaced by religious education. And when you looked at the religious education curriculum, and this was designed by Christians. I remember speaking to one of them. And it was wide. It embraced other faiths, unfortunately, as distinct from teaching Christianity. In my view, you should teach Christianity. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Teach our children biblical principles up to a certain stage, maybe third form. I've forgotten what grade that is now. Must be about grade 9.
Yes.
And then now you can let your children understand that there are other religions in the world, but you have given them a framework within which to critique other religions. And that is not happening, unfortunately. So yes, I think devotion, when a country moves away from God publicly, and part of this can be seen in the movement away from Christian devotion, having devotions in schools. That's one of the symptoms, one of the signs that the country is moving away from God. When a country does that, it will fall for anything. And so we have to be careful.
And you see, if you are moving away from Christian devotions and not paying as much attention to Christian teaching, and you then wonder why you have problems in schools with the behavior of some of the students, I don't think people realize how much of an influence good, solid Christian teaching can have on people's behavior, especially in those formative years.
Absolutely. And in fact, what they want to replace it with is comprehensive sexuality education, which is another story, again, in itself.
That's true.
Understood. Yes. So a quick one here before we wrap. Do you think that Christians in the public space, whether at work or wherever they are, it can even be in the gym, it can be anywhere, they find themselves self-censoring, meaning that you should be saying something to defend or to promote or to talk about the kingdom of God, but you don't do it because you're afraid of any backlash. You don't want to look like you're strange. Are people doing that more often, in your opinion? Are they conforming to the worldviews of the world? Donna Hussey Stewart?
Yes, and I love that question because I will say that people have censored themselves. Why? People are afraid. And to me, as Christians, if you read the Bible, you realize that God does not want people who are fearful. Look at the apostles and what they went through. We are too timid. We're afraid to even talk about God. We're afraid to discuss God. We're afraid to correct our relatives that we love so much that what they are doing is wrong. We're afraid to identify as born again, followers of Christ. I'm not going to use religion because I don't like religion. Religion is religious people are who killed Christ to begin with. But people, we are so afraid, and God does not want people who are afraid. He wants people who are able to stand, knowing that He will back us up. This is not about fighting against flesh and blood. The Bible tells us about that. And who are we going to be representing? Do we care more about what other people say rather than what God says? Remember what He says. If we refuse to acknowledge Him in front of others, He will refuse to acknowledge us in front of the Father. But people, we are so timid and fearful that we're afraid of what people will say. We're afraid of what they will do. We're afraid of being locked out of organizations. We're afraid of not being sponsored. Our companies not being sponsored because we're talking about God. No, 400 years later after slavery ended, because if you remember, the first slave trade landed in the U.S. in 1619, August 1619, and God gave 400 years where slavery of Africans would end. That ended 2019.
I think you meant started then. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, so 400 years later was 2019, August 19, 2019. Immediately after 2019 came COVID-19. For me, that is God saying, look, man, this is time to shift. This is time for you to realize that it is not business as usual for Christians. It is no longer you go about your business doing what you want to do. If you identify with Christ, now it's time to work. Now it's time to win souls. Because we keep forgetting that hell was not made for humans. It was made for the devil and his advocates. Now he decides that he's going to take as many of us with him as possible. And we are just going smiling. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You have a lot of people who are just going there having good intentions. But no, God wants us to stand up for something. Like Shirley just said, if you stand for anything,
yes.
You'll fall for what?
If you stand for anything, yes.
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that is the role a lot of Christians are playing. A lot of born agains. You're not standing up for the truth. You're not standing up for Christ, and so you're falling for anything. The least little wind come, you blow away. Those are not the people that God is looking for right now.
Shirley Richards, any final comments? Because it seems as if the walls are definitely closing in, but God is still there. And the book of Revelation does say even the fearful will end up in the lake of fire. That is the second death. Revelation 21 verse 8. I'm not preaching, but I looked at that scripture as Donna Hussey Stewart was speaking. Any final comment, Shirley Richards, before we wrap?
I think we have to watch carefully the pillars in the society. And from my perspective, I'm an attorney, and I look at the legal pillars. I think two of the strong legal pillars are the Burglary law and the law against abortion. They both reflect Christian views. When you get rid of those laws, and I'm talking from the legal perspective now. I know about the devotions in school and everything, but I'm just talking from my own legal perspective. When you get rid of those laws, you take down the foundation of the legal foundations of a Christian society. Things slip. And we must not forget the case of Professor Brendan Bain, 2014, fired because of his professional opinion on the whole matter given to a court in Belize regarding Buggery. The court, our own court held, Supreme Court held, that the UWI had breached his constitutional right to freedom of expression. That happened in 2014. We dare not forget that. And so this is a warning to us that we have to be careful in trying to uphold Christian principles within this society, because they are part of the structure of the society.
Wish there was more time, but alas, we are just about out of time. I want to thank Donna Hussey Stewart and Shirley Richards for being guests this morning on the Morning Watch. Thank you for your time and thank you for your thoughts. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page. Download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the #1 gospel station of Jamaica, Love 101 FM. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing you back to Love in the Morning with Deidre Parchment.
The NHF is here for you, helping Jamaican residents pay less for medication with the NHF card. The time by the National Health Fund is
8:01